It's so great having you back.
So nice to be back here.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
How was your trip this time?
Oh, good. Yeah, no delays on the flight, and I had the whole of yesterday to explore, so that was lovely.
And do you have any time to stay or?
No, I'm going tomorrow morning, so out of here, dinner, and then go. Yeah.
Did you find something new this time?
Yes, I went to the gardens. Is it the National Gardens? The botanical.
Is it botanical?
Yes,
botanical gardens. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. And I just explored a few more places, and then I ended up at a taverna and had some tzatziki and Greek salad.
Tzatziki? Mm-hmm. You're doing it every year? Every year?
Well, yeah. Maybe I have to try a different one every time so I can rate them.
That's your pattern.
It is.
You're trying souvlaki and tzatziki. How can you... I don't understand people that like tzatziki, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, my granddad is, my papu is Greek Cypriot. So I've been brought up on that my whole life.
I didn't remember that.
Yes. Hummus, tzatziki, souvlaki, like Greek barbecues. So every time I'm here, it just feels like home away from home.
You said papu in a very interesting way. I mean, that was
papu.
Yeah, that was a good pronunciation.
A bit like English, yeah.
Yeah, but a little bit also like Greek. So, for those that don't remember you, can you please introduce yourself?
Well, it actually will be a bit different to last time, because last time I was working in an agency. And now, as of January, as of last month, I am freelance. So yeah, I worked 2.5 years in a social agency, working all things social, creator, content, strategy, brand, all of that. And I've decided to take that and go solo into the freelance world, doing all things creative, content, UGC, strategy for brands. So that's very exciting.
Okay, that's great for you. I hope that it remains exciting.
Thanks. By the way, we're only 2 months in, so yeah, we'll see.
No, it's obviously interesting. Okay, so this time we're gonna be talking about digital patterns, and I'm not just mentioning about patterns that have to do with digital marketing, but regarding things that have to do with consumer behavior, how we behave as users, and in the digital environment, and also how those patterns may impact and influence our entire lives, not just our, interaction with brands and how we are buying decisions. So I would like to begin by asking you if you, as a person, recognize your digital patterns.
Yes and no, I think. I think I do, but the thing with social media and digital and all of that is it changes all the time. And what I've just come out of my, what I've just been talking about is it's all about behavior, right? And how we as consumers and creators use the platforms, and the platforms change because we behave differently. And then they change from our behavior, and it's kind of this ongoing cycle. And I think you kind of start using it one way, and then something changes on the platform. So you start using it a different way. And then you think, oh, I don't really like that. I'm going to use it a different way. And then the platform changes. So I think they're interlinked. The way, you or I use the platform changes with the platform, but the platform also changes with how I use it as well.
That's a very optimistic way of putting it, by the way. Thank you for that, because I don't know, in this series, we're not that optimistic because we'll be talking about AI and stuff like that.
Yeah, I see.
But it's very optimistic. You've been talking a lot about content creation and about user content creation and stuff like that. And there is, I don't remember if we'll ever discuss about it, but there is an interesting idea, an interesting concept about that's called cognitive surplus. That emerged with the internet. And of course, once blogging emerged as well, and we started to democratize the content creation, as well as, other things like GIFs, memes and stuff like that. And what cognitive surplus describes is, we have an amount of free time, even though it's weird to say that, but we do have free time. And also a vast amount of things that we want to pay attention to. And with the help of the internet, we kind of managed to aggregate, redirect, and activate those things. And what we did is that we started creating content in a more coordinated way. Okay.
Yep.
So basically, the main idea is that we come together as people, as internet users. I create content, you create content. It's getting, we aggregate this content and we build on the content of each other and we make something bigger. How do you find the idea of this surplus of, meaning that we put to the content we create with the help of each other?
I feel like sometimes even when you just explain it, it feels like quite overwhelming, right? Sometimes it's like, is it just going to be this endless thing where we don't even know where to stop and we're just creating and creating and creating and creating? And I think it's interesting because I think it plays well into like almost trends. And I talk about this a lot because people say to me like, should I jump on trends or is it pointless, right? And I think it's all about, if you're going to do something, you have to do it with intention and you have to change it slightly to reflect you or your brand. You can't just, hop on something and just copy it. And this is where I think it goes well with what you're saying, is that like, it's great to be inspired by each other. And I think this is why social media has become so vast, is because people are constantly inspired by different things, which creates new things, creates new trend. And we're kind of in this like ether of never getting out of this, just create, which I think is great because in a way, it's actually helping people consume less and sometimes get in their own head because one, anything can work nowadays and anything can kind of go viral, as we like to say, but also like we can be so inspired by other people. And I think that's one of the great things about what you just said, is that we can use others to be inspired and put our own twist on it and, show who we are through that.
What do you think? You mentioned something and I thought that's a great question. Why do you think we choose to participate in this?
I think one, we probably don't want to be left out and left behind. I think there's a big thing in that, is that if you don't jump on it, then you're not kind of doing how the platform, like moving with the platform. So I think that like FOMO maybe might be a good way to put it. I think, everyone wants to kind of do what they can, and it's like pros and cons. Like it can be good, but it can be bad also. Yeah.
I remember I follow a few people on TikTok, and I remember one of them who by the way is an actress, and she's a very good actor. She's also a director. Her name is Natalie Morales, and she likes to do a lot of TikToks. And I've encountered one of her TikToks that she was saying, listen, I love this medium because I feel that I found people that they're as weird as I am.
Yes. Yeah.
Not just as creative as I am, but also as weird as I am. And I feel that I can say so many different things about so many different issues.
Yeah.
Some serious, some fun, and stuff like that, in a way that can be true.
Yeah.
So is it also that we choose to participate not just because we don't want to be left out, but also because we kind of found our tribe?
Yes, exactly. And I talk about this a lot. It's in social media has just become so relatable. And I think that's exactly what you're talking about, is that there's actually now not just one opinion that's dominating a space about something. There's suddenly 100 different opinions. So suddenly your opinion isn't wrong because you're going to match with somebody out there. You're going to relate to someone. And that's why I think like it's so nice, because you've suddenly got all these other people that you can relate to. Even if you thought you were the only one, all of a sudden, because all these people are chiming in, there's actually 10 other people out there that think the same as you. And you might, relate on something that, I thought I was the only one that did that. That's a bit weird. But actually, she also does that. Like, we relate, we're similar. And then it might inspire you to be like, maybe I'm going to talk about this because someone out there might relate to what I have to say. And it's nice. It's like storytelling. Yeah.
It is. But also there are some dangers on it. So what are the dangerous part of it?
I think like the dangers are obviously like with opinions, like sometimes people can take it too far. And it's similar with having opinion on something and jumping on a trend is like the same thing. Like sometimes there's a time and place to add your opinion, and sometimes it's better to just not. And I think that's the real fine line, is knowing, when to chime in and when to just sit back and not.
Which is very difficult.
Yeah,
by
yeah.
the way. So what changed in this past year that we haven't talked on the internet? And I'm not saying like business-wise, right?
Yeah.
But behavioral-wise.
Okay, yeah. I love to talk about behavior, and I was just talking about Instagram, but just social media in general. I think it's become, one, so much more creative, so much less perfect. And I think we're seeing also the rise of just normal people as well, which I'm loving. We kind of went through this arc of like celebs and big influencers, and now we're kind of seeing the rise of like the everyday person. And that's because the behavior has changed on the apps. And like we've just spoken about, it's all about like relatability. We want to find people that have similar thoughts to us, but also the content that we save and share and watch and create, whether that be a carousel or a video, it should always now be made with the intention of, I want this to be shared, or I want this to be saved, or I want this to be reposted, because that's the behavior of consumers and creators on the apps at the minute. It's not just, and I was saying this, I think we've moved away from these vanity metrics, which is likes and views, right? Everyone used to say, if you were working somewhere, it's like, can you make this post go viral? Can you get 1 million views? And it's like, oh, no,
So do you have the budget?
That's so hard to do that. Like, what do you mean? Because you're just sending it out to these random people hoping that somebody will relate to it. Whereas now we've moved over to what I like to call value metrics, which is saves, shares, and repost, because those metrics show intention, right? It's not just someone that's like passively looked at something. It's someone that's maybe sent it to a friend or saved it for later or reposted it so their followers can see. And I think that's the behavior that's shifted. And that also means the content that people are making has changed too. We're not just making selfish content. We're not just posting a pretty picture anymore. We're telling people 10 things you can do instead of scrolling online. Here's how to digital detox. Here's things you should do this month of February. Here's 10 food spots you should visit in Athens. Do you know what I mean? It's content for other people. And that's what's really shifted in the past year, is nobody's making selfish content anymore. Everyone's making selfless content for other people.
One of our guests in this series talked about meaning, which is,
yes.
You're saying about intention, but also the other aspect is meaning. We're talking about Bad Bunny, how he gave meaning to everything he did. But how do you think that we can give more meaning to what we're doing? And I'm not saying just as brands, but also as people that create content.
Yeah.
Okay. How can we be true to what we want to publish and what we want to communicate and share with the world?
I think it all lies in being vulnerable, and that kind of ties up everything that we've spoken about, right? Like being your true self, talking about something that's your maybe weird quirk, being vulnerable, being authentically you. And that also comes out in sharing your knowledge as well. I think people are just craving real authenticity and meaning and vulnerability at the minute. And whether that be, somebody posting their tips and tricks on something, or, somebody just telling people what they like or their, specific opinion about something. I think that is so, so big at the minute. And that's the way it's going to keep going, right? Because we just want to see real people. We can't escape that, social media is a thing, as much as people want to say they want to digital detox, or, we want to stop using social media. It's still going to be there, but how about we lean into it and start using it to educate people in ways or talk more openly and use it as a positive platform, because it can be negative and positive, but let's lean into the positive aspects of it, I think.
My only concern about the fact that we want to see real people is that we want to see them, we want to experience them, we want to see them thrive, or we want to see their journey. But there is one point that they are not real people anymore, and we want to abandon them.
Yes.
I mean, I have so many examples of that. Like, I don't know if you know him, but Alex Warren is a singer that he actually rose out through on TikTok. And the moment he went to the Grammys, he was not a real person anymore.
Yeah. Okay, maybe I'm going to say something that might be maybe controversial, but I think social media is a leverage tool for something else, right? So you're saying, and with him, like, I agree, like he was big on TikTok, and then, he went into singing, and that's great because without social media, he will have never got there. And now he's a huge singer, and he does all these things, and that's where he's supposed to be now, right? And you're saying there's this turning point, but I think to succeed, you have to use social media to get you to a point of doing then something meaningful with it or something else, rather than just becoming that unrelatable influencer that carries on posting about, something you were talking about when you had 10,000 followers, you're now talking about when you have 1 million. It doesn't resonate anymore. You've crossed a line and a path, and you then need to change it into something else.
My concern is not for him or the people that actually do that. I mean, good for him. He used it. That it was something that he leveraged on. Good for him. He's very talented, and good for everybody that actually, manage, for those who manage to achieve the dream through social media. My concern is for us. Why do we abandon the people that we follow the moment that we cannot relate with them?
I think it's the same as any way that the algorithm or platform changes, right? Is that people change. We change, we get older. Like, I like different things now than I did 10 years ago, even 1 year ago. And that's okay. And things will fluctuate. But through losing some people, you then gain new people. So I don't think it's things to worry about. Maybe this is me trying to be optimistic. But I think it's true. You're not going to follow someone forever and relate to them all the time. I even think about this with some of my friends. Some of them are getting married, some are having babies. Like, everyone's at different stages of their life, and that means everyone's relating to different people. So don't worry if you lose some followers along the way, because that's actually opened a door to something else. So I think maybe if you try and look at it through an optimistic lens, it's not all bad.
Of course, it's not all bad. So you're young, but I'm going to ask you, what's the first thing that you remember from the internet?
Oh my goodness, the first thing I remember from the internet, I feel like YouTube was a big thing for me when I was younger. And Instagram filters. I just remember taking a picture on the Instagram app, just one picture, and it would almost have this black border around it. And you could click through the filters and you'd post it. And I just remember hoping you'd get 3 likes from your friends. And that was the most exciting thing. And I remember being able to scroll to the bottom of your feed. That is not a thing anymore, because there's literally billions of pieces of content.
It's not.
Whereas when we first started social media, I must have followed 10 people. So at the end of every day after school, come home, scroll, see the 5 posts, get to the end. There's nothing new to see. That's not a thing anymore.
That's not a thing. YouTube, by the way, is definitely one of the things that changed the internet, because it was the first time that we realized the power of video.
Yes.
Okay? Is there any other concept or something that for you changed the way that the internet works that you can remember?
I think YouTube's making a comeback, and this is the thing, because I think things always come back around. YouTube is that thing that we were talking about where we're like, oh, it lost everyone, and now it's actually coming back because people are showing interest in it. But is there anything else? Well, I feel like I obviously remember when TikTok went from Musical.ly to TikTok, and that was a big shift. But I would say, honestly, I think the resurge of YouTube at the minute is something to to be studied and podcasts as well. I think people want to slow down more. We obviously talk about Gen Zs and how they've got shorter attention spans. But the good thing about Gen Zs is we're really self-aware. We know that we have terrible attention spans, and we're actually all very competitive people in that we want to change that. We want to action it. So, going back to a bit of longer form on YouTube, I think is kind of coming back, which is great. And same with podcasts as well. Our podcast sessions, half an hour, that's not a 1 minute video. That's, a longer piece of content, but we're recognizing that, we can't just watch one minute videos forever. We need to, get our minds back and watch something a bit more educational.
Okay, that's an interesting way to end this discussion, because we are in this situation. Why do you think that podcast and vidcast work so much now?
I think it's because people, like I said, are self-aware that we all went a bit too far into brain rot, and we need to come back out and educate ourselves.
That's nice.
And yeah, we want to learn. We want to have intellectual conversations with real people. We want to hear about people's real stories, because that's inspiring at the end of the day. And that is what social media should be all about.
That's great. Jasmine, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for coming back. And I hope that we will talk again next year, because obviously you're going to be here again.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great. Thank you.
Thank you.